Thank you again for choosing Trap Cadillac Chevrolet.
Trap Cadillac Chevrolet has been serving South Louisiana for over 50 years. That's right, 50 years. No matter how much Trap has grown, you can count on hometown feel, friendly service every time you stop it. Our unmatched service and diverse Chevrolet, Cadillac, and pre-owned inventory has set us apart as the preferred car dealer in South Louisiana. We're also known for our outstanding auto repair service, changing your oil quickly and easy financing.
We promise to always give the most in your auto buying experience here at Trap Cadillac Chevrolet in Houma.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And you know, whenever we get some updates about things that may be happening and certain proposals, especially when it comes from the state, we always like to get a professional one that can explain a little bit of that to us. So we welcome into the program Sanders Colbert. Sanders, thanks for joining us today.
No, it's good to be here.
All right. Of course, New Orleans tax attorney. Not only thank you for becoming an attorney, but knowing things about taxes as well. So we appreciate it. So, you know, we were told that next month Jeff Landry's kind of looking to call a special session about this possible tax reform. Tell us what you know about that so far.
So it's extremely ambitious, and from the bills that he's been circulating, he wants to both simplify and streamline income tax with a single flat tax at 3%, which would be combined with a nearly tripling of the standard deduction to $12,500. So it would have a single flat tax rate for individual income taxes, and it would over halve the corporate income tax rate. And so it's on the income tax side, it's generally would be just a tax cut altogether for all taxpayers. And the governor has mentioned that over the long term, over the next maybe decade, this would be an eventual move towards potentially eliminating income tax altogether. And the converse to that is there would be an increase in sales taxes versus increasing the base by levying taxes on certain services that are currently not taxed.
Wow, so a little balance to what he's trying to do and decrease income taxes and maybe increase in areas where we're not taxing now, and maybe increases some of the sales taxes that we have, if I'm just understanding you correctly.
Yes, and then on the sort of separate side, there are a few issues that have been sort of chronic, uncompetitive features of the Louisiana tax code that he's trying to fix, and those are mainly the elimination of the franchise tax and the phasing out of the inventory property taxes, which has been a big hit on businesses in Louisiana for decades.
For years and years. Yes, I know. I felt it. I know lots of friends have felt it. And so it's wonderful for him to look at the big picture, to really see what it is that's happened over the course of time and maybe how to improve on that. So I've been very impressed with some of his initiatives. And again, like you said, this is a very aggressive one in as much as what the changes are going to be proposed. And so, quite frankly, it's going to be a dramatic impact to individual taxpayers. Is that correct?
Yes. So for individual taxpayers, it would be a cut for virtually all income taxpayers, from the reduction in the top bracket from 4.25% to this flat 3%, and by the large increase in the standard deduction will help on the lower bracket side will help reduce the actual income tax payments by those taxpayers altogether. So for all taxpayers should see large amounts of income tax reductions. And then the flip side would be on the sales tax side from a lot of services such as streaming, lawn care, dog grooming, a lot of services that aren't currently being taxed would now be subject to sales tax.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. And that's basically some of the changes that we can expect to see in the future, right?
Those are some of the changes that most individuals will notice.
Okay.
And then a lot of the things that people won't notice are a lot of the streamlining of exemptions between the parishes and the state on sales tax, because that's another area where Louisiana is very uncompetitive, is that we're one of few states where there's separate sales tax collection by both the state government and the local parishes. So in the vast majority of states, there's a single sales tax collector for the entire state.
Right.
Whereas in Louisiana, we have a bifurcated system where you can have, you can be assessed and have a challenge by the local authorities, but the same tax might not be challenged by the state, and they can take different positions, and it can often be very hard on businesses.
Yeah, a little befuddling for that. And so could this make Louisiana more attractive for people to want to live here?
Definitely. I think
it
was similar to how a few years ago when they rationalized the income tax rates, when they brought the rates down, but they simultaneously eliminated the state income tax deduction for federal taxes paid. So for many years, we had a deceptively high income tax rate because back when our headline rates were much higher than they seemed, because we also had a deduction for federal taxes paid. And so if you were, paying 37% at the top bracket for federal tax purposes, you got deducted that deduction for purposes of calculating your state income tax. So this is similar to that, and that this is going to bring down the headline tax rates, which are what a lot of, I think, individuals and businesses look at when they're looking at the tax landscape in a given state.
Okay. Now, are there any particular fears that you may have or that we may be thinking about as it relates to this tax reform?
So I think that there's certain, obviously, the services that are currently not subject to sales tax at all are definitely going to not be happy with their exposure to sales tax that are not currently subject to sales tax. And then also there are certain industries, such as the film industry, is probably going to have the motion picture tax credit on the chopping block. That's part of the savings of money is coming from a reduction in some of these economic development programs, which are currently done through LED and other state departments. But so certain industries that are currently getting some tax benefits are probably going to have that curtailed a little bit, and that's to help offset some of the revenue decline from the reduction in income taxes. Okay,
and that makes perfect sense. I got about 30 seconds left. Is there any particular reaction that the local governments have had? Some more positive, I would assume?
So I think most that currently people are still digesting a lot of these changes, but all in all, to the extent that there are things that affect local government, they've been trying to basically tiptoe around that and massage this. So, for example, in their proposal to eliminate the inventory tax credit, they actually have a bribe, you might say, to the local governments, where any local governments that accept the phasing out of the inventory property tax will get a one-time payment of up to 3 times of their current inventory property tax collections. So they've tried to wave a bit of a carrot along with the stick to local government to help ease them into this. So I don't think that this should be too controversial or hard for local government to swallow all in all.
Awesome. We appreciate for your time very much today. We look forward to see how this plays out.
Excited to see.
All right. Thanks so much. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.